All right, hello, and thanks for getting involved in a cheeky conversation with Rapha, lead singer and guitar player of a band, a three-piece power trio from Montreal, Canada, known as Les Shirley. They are on the verge of releasing their second record on the 28th of October 2022 that is called More Is More. And we had a wonderful conversation a few days back. And one, to be honest with you, in a style of which I don't do very often, which is just actually having a planned interview. It's like conversations. Sometimes you try and force an energy, it doesn't quite go that way. And then if you've got all these questions set, oh no, I ditch them all. So I just made a ridiculous amount of notes about what stood out to me about every single song on the album, what came into my mind, listening to it over and over and over again. And I just threw them at her. Threw them at them. See what they thought. Simple as that. If you want to discover pure modern rock, over 5,000 bands and 7,000 songs, no older than 2017, with 90% of the playlists from 2020 onwards, please consider going to whatwasthatradio.com. I worked at commercial rock radio for over a decade. I left to push my passions to their utmost and, more importantly, create a space for modern rock artists to be heard, and it's growing shrewdly after 2 years. You can help it grow further if you go to whatwasthatradio.com and just check out these bands and get involved. You can sign up and subscribe if you choose to, if you feel the need to, by going to patreon.com/whatwasthatradio as well. Maybe see you in the Discord. Everything's at the website, linked below this video, wherever you're watching it. Here's a conversation with Rapha of Les Shirley.
Hi.
Hello, how are you?
Not bad, yourself?
Very good, thank you. Very, very, very good. I was just rocking out to, it's just a complete shift when you get to Hands on the Wheel. The album just really takes off in another direction that I adore. But I just wanted to check firstly, is there someone else after me?
For the interview?
Yeah, is there another one after this one?
No, at 2:30, so that's fine.
Okay, sweet. How's the day going so far?
Not too bad. I got some rehearsal to do, so I'm working from home today. So it's pretty mellow day. It's kind of raining, but I feel like the sunshine might be piercing out now. Woo!
Yeah, we've had nothing but sun the whole year, and today's like the first sort of dark day. We could do with a bit of rain over here for sure on the West Coast, but a bit of context about me firstly is that my name is John. I used to work at a radio station called The Zone at 91.3 in Victoria here on Vancouver Island. And I left at the start of the pandemic to push my passions to their utmost in leaving the corporate commercial mainstream and starting my own independent radio station and foundation. So I split all my earnings 50-50 with those that support me for maybe whether that's paying out towards helping to move house or to get counseling or to learn instruments and through the Arts Academy. And then the other half obviously takes care of myself and running everything. But then it's about getting as much money as possible into the pockets of independent bands, period. And so what was that? And you have to excuse, my voice is taking so long to wake up this morning. It is like extra deep right now. But the
that's all good.
the basic gist of it is that I just adore being in the moment and up to date as possible. And whilst commercial rock radio is great, we are to an extent 30 years in the past with very little of the current moment. And so what was that radio is over 5,000 bands and 7,000 songs that are no older than 2017. 90% of them are released from 2020. So it's just go, 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 moving forward, current moment.
Totally. I totally agree with your vision, man. It's very nice. That's exactly what we need, because I was having the same discussion with another media just last week. And yeah, it's very a shame that commercial radios definitely are just playing stuff from 1995, like it's just why? And then how do you create new classics if you just if you're not up to date? Anyway, that's another debate, but yeah, really,
it is.
Totally.
It's a delicate balance.
Yes, it is.
Okay, well, I've done something that I don't usually do. I don't usually prepare so much. And I know that sounds, I'm not trying to throw out the window Les Shirley straight away. But the way that I consume music is that I'll listen to it 30, 40, 50 times in different moods across a period of time and just let songs and creations hit me and inspire different thoughts. But with this chat, I actually thought I want to try something different and sit down and make notes and sort of do like a let's go through song by song if you're willing, with me throwing my thoughts at you and you relaying back what comes to mind.
Totally. Let's do it.
Okay, well, firstly, the album is fucking brilliant. I think it's absolutely fantastic. And I'm literally just going to read my squirrel handwriting. I don't know if you can see that.
I see, literally, yeah.
Yeah. Awesome. My writing is like that of a hamster desperately trying to store more food in its cheeks. and trying to write at the same time. Okay,
Loving it.
so for the album opener, it's time. I love the warmth and the richness in this mix. It's got the right balance of distortion and clean, so there's a spring in your step, not so much a sludgy feel to the song. And it gives me superhero / detective or thriller vibes.
I love that. Yeah, well, that's exactly. I don't know if you've seen the video clip attached to the song, but it's pretty much that. We're like robbing a convenience store in order to like, finance our own video clip. So that's kind of the motto. It's a very like powerful, fuck you patriarchy kind of feminism anthem. That's the spirit of this song. So you got it right.
Are you familiar with the band Kid Capici, a punk band from England?
No, but I like the name.
Kid Capici are one of the most exciting punk bands on the planet. And
Kid Capici?
Kid Capici, yeah. I can Instagram it or message it through Looters and stuff to you. But
Capici. I'm writing it down.
This record actually here is one of my favorites of the year so far. Here's What You Could Have Won. And there's a track on it.
Capici. Okay, I see.
There's a track on it called Rob the Supermarket. And your video reminded me of that video, just getting up to a bit of cheekiness in order to fund the future of not just necessarily yourselves, but also just the community that you're a part of that seems to be pushed to the side. This is a really exciting band I think you should check out.
I'm definitely checking it. Capici. All right.
I'll be honest with you. I have not done a conversation this early in a long time. It's not even that early.
I was sure it's early for you because for me it's noon. I'm like, it's not early.
I'm transitioning into starting a new job where because I have a job on the side stacking produce to make sure that I can still earn money and grow this shrewdly and sensibly and not put too much pressure on it. And I'm transitioning to being up at 4 a.m. to be the opener. So this,
oh my God.
This needs to improve in the next week and a half here.
Yeah, well, 9 is not too bad then when you think about 4. Ooh.
The issue is that I had the alarm for 7 and then fell back asleep and got up at 8 and then got in a shower and here we go. We're in it now.
That's okay. To be fairly honest with you, I woke up at like 11:30 as well.
Oh, perfect.
I went to bed very late this last night. So yeah, I woke up at 11:30 and I was like, all right, get on with my day. Shower and same situation, but different time.
Do you have a hot beverage near you?
No, I have a big glass of water.
There we go. Get the H2O in. Speaking of superheroes, in the first track, It's Time, you could have an underwater protagonist, because then it would be like, I've got my water. It's going to be great today. Anyway, track 2, American Boy. I never do this. I love that I've written notes like this. I said, fun, love is fickle, love song is what I wrote first.
Okay.
Effortless and real. It feels like it's 2 minutes long, not 4 minutes. The build at 3 minutes is so good. The wailing guitars are like wild horses on their rear legs and looking all majestical is what I wrote for that.
I love that. That's awesome. Well, yeah, I mean, this song is particular because well, it's always different how we come up with, songs. It depends. We usually like write it all together, but this one I wrote it all by myself. I was like in the studio. I remember I went to the studio for a couple of days. I was like, I'm going to try and come up with some, because I think we had like a writing retreat coming along like in the next week or so. And I was like, I wanted to get some, new fresh guitar loops or some licks or something to bring to the table when we go to the retreat. And I remember I had this riff like the main riff basically, and I kept on playing it over and over. I was like, oh, there's something to it. And then at the end of the day, I didn't have any song like attached to it. I just had the riff. And then the next day I came back and I was like, no, it just like came out, boom. And so I just sent it to the girls, and it's pretty much as is. Like I just wrote it, and we didn't really like rework it. It was pretty much done. And this is it's about the only time in my life where I think I might have like fallen in love with a guy, but I'm not even sure to this day if it was a real thing or not, but it was confusing for me. It's the same thing as, if you like, you're, let's say out of the closet and you're like very out there and you're like, you're pretty confident in your gayness and you're like, oh, whoa, wait a minute. Like, what do I have to reverse now and go back to being straight? Like, what the fuck is that? Like, so it was kind of this feeling expressed in that song.
I could definitely feel that sense of confusion in it. And that's what I really love about just the band and your delivery is that it just feels real. There's just so much music out there where you can sense that maybe the writer is not the person singing the song to you. And you definitely get that sense of the journey throughout the album. I did realize the more and more that I listened to it, because these are the notes I made on the first listen. I wanted it to just be, so there might be some, we'll see if there's some repetition in my questions here, but or my thoughts at least, because it's certainly, the album develops into more and more of a skip, full trip, get back up, dust over again, love situation. But we'll get there. We'll get there.
Totally.
Track 3 with Random Cool, I wrote down, the synth/vocal blend is an instant hook. Wow. I'm not sure what you did there. You've got sort of a synthesizer and those backing vocals, almost like it's like, I don't know if you've recorded the vocals into a synth and then blended a whole new sound, or if you've blended a synth and a vocal harmony together, or how did you create that? Because it's so intriguing.
It was heavily inspired by, this song by Def Leppard, Photograph.
Right. Okay.
So it was heavily inspired by that. This whole very stack of vocal layers that is really cut to the almost like knife cut, like a synthesizer. But yeah, that was the idea behind it. And I think we just layered and layered some vocal tracks. I'm not sure there's a synth track in, I think so actually, yeah, but we didn't proceed the vocal through a synth, but we just made it sound like it was like, and I remember also, I remember that our sound engineer was like, because he really knew about the guy who was the sound engineer of Def Leppard back in the days, and like his techniques and all. And there are some layers that is actually just noise. Like we went like this. So it really brings up like a whole different layer of highs that you would not have, like you don't hear that, but in the spectrum, it's crazy the difference that it makes. So yeah, definitely I remember that part. That was the spirit for sure. Def Leppard vibe.
I try not to write down too many bands. That one of the things that I wasn't a big fan of when working in commercial radio was how we had to sell a band and positioning them next to a band that they sound like. And that's just, like Cage Elephant, or they're like Black Keys, or they're like so-and-so. And that to me, or the Radiohead thing, where it's always like, oh my God, not every band. Radiohead is everyone is so unique in their own way. But I have found myself writing down a lot of notes. Like I wrote down Def Leppard, I wrote down Peter Gabriel, I wrote down a few others from back in the day that we'll get to.
Peter Gabriel, yes.
There's some moments in this record. But actually that reminds me that I think I wrote down a missed a point here on track 1. Did I not say it? Yeah, I didn't say it. When you strip back about halfway through the song and leading up to the chorus in its time, and you've got those, that's what I love about the warmth and Ritnish in those spaces. And where the song might drop down in the opener, It's Time, you've got those left, right, yes. Left, right. And then it's almost like someone organizing in a pencil case that sort of just adds this like texture in the middle of the mix. Anyway, let's get back to where we were with...
That's awesome, yeah. I just remember when we were recording that, it was kind of like... It's a weird moment. Like I remember the drummer was like, "That's kind of a weird thing to track with your buddies." Like yeah. I don't know. I just remember it stuck with me. She was like, kind of like, "Oh, it's weird."
Do we track that back truly to Britney Spears for the Art of Breath in song, or was that even maybe we?
Oh God, Britney! I didn't even think of it. I don't know. Actually, I think that my primary inspiration in life is, Imogen Heap.
Oh yeah, beautiful.
So this is definitely one of my biggest influence, and she, in terms of vocal layering and just everything that she does with her vocal is pretty crazy. So I think that's definitely where a lot of my out of the box thinking comes from.
Yeah, and to be clear, I didn't write down Britney Spears poster on your wall on this. That just came to my mind a few seconds ago.
I love Britney. You gotta give it to her.
No shade to the Queen.
Great.
Yeah.
The Queen.
I don't know why I decided to say that. The Queen! No shade.
I mean, after what she's been through, yes.
I also wrote down here the subtle spoken word vocal on the right-hand side. I love that goes throughout. It's almost like it's the background going, you don't need to know what's going on. You don't need to know what's going on. I'm just saying words. I don't know, texture, words. Oh, you want to hear what I'm saying? You can't understand what I'm saying. You can't quite make out what I'm saying, can you? Yeah. That's what it was like. That groovy synth bass is dope, I wrote. Cowbell. The cowbell introduction is great. It's warm. It's low in the mix. It's like a punch in the gut. The bluesy solo of awesomeness I wrote down. And we need to contact Netflix because the line where you say, quote, TV binging, we need to change that to Netflix binging, and they owe you $50,000 for the use of this song. Just a thought.
Totally. Yeah, let's do it. Yes.
Okay. Track 4.
Well, yeah.
Oh, no. What do you want to say to any of that? Sorry.
No, it's just like, yeah, this song is definitely about, like, I think you said it yourself, like this album is such like a journey, and it really reflects how it's been written during a pandemic, and it really reflects what went down into my own mind, like ups and downs, dealing with, addictions and stuff. And this song is definitely about this kind of feeling of, like when this summer is ending, and it's like you're coming into the fall season, and it's like everything is slowing down, and it's kind of it's nostalgic to think about everything that you've done during this crazy little piece of sunshine that is summer in Canadian, seasons, because it's such a time where like people are going crazy because we have so little time, and it's so little time of like sunshine and nice weather. So yeah, this is definitely about that, I think. And the struggling with addiction, definitely many addictions, TV binging. And that's one addiction that came to me during the pandemic for sure.
Yeah, I'm glad you specified that, because it's always, you can apply that to so many things. I don't think I've drank alcohol in nearly 3 years. There's many things that we all have to battle and find our own way and grow through.
Yeah. Everybody has their something, it's coffee, it can be cigarettes, it can be drugs, alcohol, sex, TV, just like codependency, whatever. Everybody has their something for sure.
Yeah, and I feel like a lot of new addictions have come out of the pandemic, not necessarily even just in being lazy and chilling out and watching some TV, but just then trying to get back outside again afterwards. Even for very extroverted people, it's a whole new process, and it's a whole strange new energy around, and how you interact with people, how you discuss with people. Do you even say hello to friends? So it's like relearning social skills again for the most part, and then that can become an addiction in the sense of
hard.
Let's just stay back. Why leave this bubble that we've created now? Yeah, it's fascinating.
Weird times.
Track 4, Get a Grip. Get a fucking grip. I wrote down alternative title, American Letdown.
That's good. Yes, I like it.
Referring to American Boy a few tracks ago. I don't know.
Yeah.
I then asked, what synths are you using? Or are you not even using synths, and it's your voices and you're confusing me to the end of the world?
The vocals, you mean?
No, just the synthesizers that you use on this record. What are they?
Oh my God. Because we had this amazing person coming to the studio. Her name is Camille Gelina, and she's the one who recorded all of the keyboard parts. I mean, because we write them down, but we have like a Juno in the studio. We have a Juno and a Moog Little Fatty. So that's the two synths that we use as for the demo. But like for her, I mean, she came in with like a bunch of different stuff. I think she has like Oberheim something, and then she had like a Dave Smith, what's it called? The Prophet 8. And she had a Moog Grandmother as well for the bass synth. But I think this one was like the Oberheim. I think it was very 80s oriented kind of synth.
Yeah, because
Oberheim something. Yeah.
Sometimes for me personally, I can find synthesizers just a bit too cheesy. If there's a bit too much top end on them and they're sticking out, and they're sort of like a book that's sticking out on the bookshelf and you want to push it back in a line, sometimes it's just a bit too much. But with this record, the synthesizer is not overbearing at all. It's left me wanting more of it, but in the sense that it complements the melodies and it complements the guitar so well. And it doesn't draw you away. When it needs to, it adds that sort of, like in this song, it adds that like friendly warmth, like a parrot on a pirate's shoulder, Like it's just, oh, how you doing there? It's not overbearing and smacking you around a bit.
I love that. Oh yeah, definitely. I think with this record, I mean, the whole writing process was a bit different than the first album for sure. In terms of like the first album, we really wrote it in like jamming sessions. Like we would be the three of us jamming and like constructing those songs. But then this time around, it was more like firing up Ableton Live and creating loops and just adding layers on top of that, and then just creating the song like that. So it was a very different approach, and we didn't restrain ourselves into like putting only the classical instrumentation of rock music, like power trio, just the bass, the guitar, and the drum. We wanted more, more is more. That's the spirit of the album, but we wanted deeper layers to accompany the deeper side of the lyrics that I brought to this album. It's a bit less light in the subjects than the first album, I would say. So I think, yeah, you're right. It's definitely there to like complement and to like very work with the guitar in terms, it's not like trying to steal the show, but it's just there to like, beef it up in terms of the instrumentation.
But that's what I really, really like about this record. It's such a delicate balance. Like, I used to be in a three-piece as well. We were just drums, guitar, and vocal. The guitar player, Jordan, would split his signals so that he'd be sending to a bass amp as well. You wouldn't get the staccato boom, 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 but you get the wah, 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 wah to add that texture to it as I hit my Canadian Tire skull lights, which are a brilliant buy for $25, and I may have bought 3 sets.
Canadian Tire.
Yes. There we go, skulls. But there's a delicate balance between when you're in the stereo field of the song, trying to fill a space for the sake of it, but trying to have something in there to create that warmth. And that's what this record does so well, is even when you strip it back and you've got, like in this song, those beautiful backing vocals layered up with that synthesizer playing just mildly to the right-hand side and then flicking over to the left again and then back and right. There's that warmth in it that it doesn't completely drop to nothing, and you hear the natural reverb in the room and drumsticks clanging off of a snare. Like it's got that layer in it that you can't quite put your finger on, but you need it. You need it in there.
Yeah, well, this song it came from the heart, like definitely. It just like, it's such an emotional song for me. When I listen to it today, I mean, it's not as raw as it was the day I wrote it, but the day I wrote it, it was the rawest feeling you could get. It's like honest as it can be.
Well, how do you set yourself up when you want to get that deep? Do you have a process that you go about, or do you just find yourself sitting down wherever you can and just writing?
I don't know. I just know I live stuff, and it just like comes pouring out. I don't know. Yeah, it's just like, it was about this because I went to Barbados for 2 months last winter, and something happened there, like a little love story, a little flinch. And then I came back, and it was kind of like, it was a weird kind of story, but it just came out. It just, I kind of pour my inspiration from pretty much real life, almost all of the time, almost.
So this record is addressing, when you sent in the sense of sharing about that and those difficulties and that growth, is it addressing 3 or 4 people then, or is it the same 1 or 2 throughout it?
There's like 2 songs about this particular person, this one and Cold Turkey.
Okay.
But it's mostly about, this album is mostly about nostalgia and addiction. True, like it's mostly definitely about addiction, I would say. But then addiction comes into the form of, as well, a person, or like, I think when you have an addictive personality, you just like transpose to different stuff. When you don't have a certain type of thing, then you just transpose into something else. So I think this is the whole vibe of this album. That's what I realized, because when I was writing the song at first, I was like, there's no link to them. And then once the album was completed and I got to like see the bigger picture, I was like, oh yeah, this is what it's all about. Fuck.
Perfect. I mean, fuck, but perfect at the same time.
Yeah.
This is where I wrote Peter Gabriel vibes at 1 minute and 30 for 7 seconds. 7 glorious seconds of bonkersness and rhythm section coming in.
Yes.
That is what. Tell me about the process with that, because it's like, why? It sounds like you spent an hour and a half to do 7 seconds. There's just so much in that explosive 7 seconds of what is this? It's so cool.
I don't know. I think we were writing that song and we were just like really into it, and we're like, yeah, we need like a bridge that is just like a pure explosion. Because that's the song, it's like, get a grip. You're trying to like, come back down to earth and be like, okay, like I'm too much in my feelings right now. I need to like come back down. But this is kind of I would say, the apogee of the song. It's like, okay, losing control here, boom, and then it's at the end. It's like my heart is beating, beating. Oh, it's like you're losing grip. Basically, that's the part where it's like, okay, fuck it, I'm just like gonna live it. So yeah, it was kind of in the spirit of the song.
I think it's so cool. It's a really cool. I just give me 30 seconds more of that. It's so cool. Should be like I don't know, just bring it back as a little interlude or something.
Well, you have to come and see us play live. Maybe we will.
Exactly. Yes. Maybe it would just be that 7 seconds on loop for 10 minutes, and
For
that
10
would still
minutes,
be
and people
incredible.
will just be like, yeah.
Yeah. Just have
Why not?
just have like a random tom that can be passed around the audience, like Gogo Bordello style, and they can just fucking ride on the tom and smack it and join in, and that'll be great. Okay, are we only at track 5, Cold Turkey? I like the separation in the mix during verses that comes together in the chorus. How you have, like you're speaking about 5-6 minutes ago, to necessarily that you don't want to be just that 1, 2, 3 standard deliver power trio, but in this song it does sort of start like that, and then gradually through the verse everything's in its pronounced place. Then in the chorus, those guitars come in left and right to add that texture, and then the whole thing comes together like a group hug in a, let's have an orange at half-time situation. And I wrote 2 love songs back to back, thoughts or frustration, and then your thoughts, or no, not frustration, your thoughts on the album track listing. I've just completely read that wrong, from frustration being at the next track that we'll get to. But yeah, so I guess you were just sort of getting to that when you were talking about how, okay, this song, does it sort of work? Well, it does. Get a Grip does fit in the mix now. How particular are you with ordering a track listing for a record? Has there got to be an ebb and flow? Has there got to be a story that sort of runs throughout, or are you not afraid to just throw different left, right, center all around to keep the listener in a different mindset?
I think I remember because I was like, okay, let's just try to all come up with our own different pacing, and then kind of like see what are the similarities between our pacings. So me and the 2 other girls in the band, and Marie-Pierre Arthur as well, who was co-producing the album with us, and the sound engineer. So we were like 5 different people to come up with a different pacing. And there was some similarities to it. And at the end of the day, I think we just went with what made sense. I remember I was just like, okay, with my bandmate here, Sarah, who was my roommate as well. And we were just like, putting the last 20 seconds of the track going into the next one. And you can feel if it doesn't fit. You can always feel it. Oh, that doesn't make sense. So I think we went, at the very end, we had like the pacing idea, but then we just went like this. Last 20 seconds of the song, coming into the next one, just to get the feel. And also, yeah, I like to think of it about like, because we're always doing vinyls. So I was like, okay, I'm trying to think of like the face A and face B kind of a thing. So I think that's how we did it. But it's always a question of feeling, truly.
So you'll go with the sonic feel and texture rather than necessarily a lyrical journey and experience with the record.
Yeah, I think definitely a feeling, more vibe than just like, oh, okay, so this song is about that subject. Should we put it? No, I think it just makes sense in the end, because it's all about the same thing. It's about addiction.
And one of the big things that What Was That does is supporting independent bands. I would love to try and organize buying at least 5 or 6 signed vinyl, to then I can use that as contesting with the station, if that's all right. Do we?
Perfect. We don't have them yet.
No.
I was actually gonna write to our physical distributor today to see where are we in the process, because I know because of Adele, it's all
Speaking of Queens, hello, yes. Is it the vinyl we're looking for? Anyway,
Adele.
I'm not sure where that came from. Track 6.
I love it though.
Do it again. Yes. I said the chorus synth is so cool, is the first thing I wrote here. How do you build songs? Do you go piano first? And the bass tone is solid in this. Okay, well, I think you spoke to the sort of building songs earlier in the jam space, but we could dive a bit more into that, because I think I forgot to ask a question, which I've now reminded myself, which is that when you were saying you were looping, it's like Steve Bays of Hot Hot Heat and Mounties, and Steve Bays, who writes for Universal, based out of Vancouver here. I remember when he and Hawksy came in, and Ryan Dahl of Mounties, And they said that for that process with the first record, they would record everything and then listen back. And if there's something they liked, they might bring out a section, loop to it and play along to the loop, try and build a song. So is that is that the vibe that you were sort of getting at earlier, or how do you go about, and how is it different to before? Let's expand on that in creating songs for Les Shirley.
Yeah. So before, I would say the first EP and the first album, it was very more about like the jam session itself. So we would just like play, like, I don't know, somebody had like a riff or something, and then we would just like, okay, like let's play that and see where it brings us next. And then, okay, let's replay it. So I think that's going to be a verse, and then let's try to come up with a chorus with that. Okay. And then we would just go back and forth until the whole song was kind of created. Okay, let's replay the verse into the chorus. All right. And then let's try that bridge. So it was more like that. But then after this album, I think it was because also that we were not able to meet in person for a little while. So I would do something on my computer, like just record at home some like guitar riff, and then just like not loop it and play over on top of it, but just like come up with a loop, and it's just like you know how it works. Do you know how Ableton Live works? It's just like you just like put it back to back.
Yeah, boom.
And then just build the whole song like this. And then I would send my file to Sarah, and then she would just add something to it, and then back and forth. Or we would be together in the cabin for the retreat, and we would just like, you know, come up with something and then put it on, and then just layer stuff on top of it. Okay, let's try and record that bass line. Okay, and then like let's try to record drum on top of that, and then let's try to put some cowbell on top of that. So it was more like about, we were never getting to play it all together. It was more like making it on the computer, like, you know, like when you can just take that section and just move it, or just like, it's a more like of a computer. It's more like my prior band was actually an electronic pop band. So it was like, I was used to this kind of workflow before. So we kind of brought it back into that rock band. But I think it's going to be a challenge for us to play it live, this album, because there's so many layers, and it's going to be a real challenge because we have those shows coming up on the end of November, and we have a few rehearsals before that. But I really need to like get into it and try to like make sense of like, okay, what, as a power trio, what can I play that makes the more sense in the song, so it's not like you don't feel like there's something missing. So it's definitely going to be a challenge for us. We'll see.
Does that mean that you're on the side of things that is not necessarily a fan of having backing tracks?
Definitely not with that project. We never had backing tracks with that project. We don't play with a click. I don't think it's going to happen as well. We were thinking about maybe hiring like an extra guitar player on that next tour that is maybe going to be able to play a bit of keyboard as well.
Yeah.
Depending on the track. But that was kind of our idea, because I mean, Green Day did it. Why not us, you know? And Blink-182 as well. They had an extra guitar player on stage.
Yeah, no, lots of bands as well. I mean, Biffy Clyro, one of my favorite bands of all time, and even Muse, you know, as expansive as their sound is a guy behind a curtain at the back sweating bullets. You know, it's
really.
Yeah, they have an extra guy too. In some shows that I've seen them anyway. When I saw them at Reading a long time ago, like half a lifetime ago when I was a kid, but. The retreat, I'd like to know a bit more about the retreat. When you're in Montreal, where do you go?
So I have the chance, my stepdad owns a bit, like he owns like maybe like 4 or 5 cabins up north, and he rents them. But like when it's not rented, we can go. So it's really nice. It's like, actually, it's not cabins, it's like a mansion, I have to say. It's like full on houses with like, you know, like jacuzzis. So like it's really nice, and we get there, and it's just more efficient for us to get out of the city and to just like focus on writing for like it depends, we go for like a week or 10 days at a time, and then we just come back, and we have like we have the workflow that we would have done in like 2 months in Montreal, like cramped up in 2 weeks. So it's really, really nice. And I'm really lucky to have that. But so it doesn't cost anything. It's just we're going there and we're focusing on that. And we have nothing else to do except take jacuzzis.
Yeah. Yeah, lots of writing emotional songs in bubbly water.
Yeah, and
The
also it helps when you have the view, you know, because you're like on the side of the St. Lawrence River and you just have like the nature and the quietness, and you're not like staring outside your window and seeing like cars parked in the street and just like other apartments. It's definitely a shift of perspective for me. It helps to connect with my inner emo-ness.
Yeah, big time. I'm surprised there hasn't been someone yet that's invented like a band cabin swap, you know?
I think it exists for sure. I mean, yeah,
Maybe in small little communities and circles.
yeah, I have one of my friends actually, she just bought this huge house, and I think that's what she wants to do. She wants to like turn her huge like barn into like this, she wants to rent it to bands that, you know, just want to like come up and record some demos.
Sweet. That reminds me of a barn that got converted here on the island. It's called Silverside Sound Studio, run by my friend Lucas, and it's incredible what they did in that barn. Like it's just gone from being a barn to a recording studio that is so flipping cool.
That's
Anyway,
amazing.
cognizant of time, track 7, Hands on the Wheel. The first thing I wrote, and you can tell that I was taking this a bit more serious because the writing's a bit more readable
Yeah.
compared to the scribbles over here. Yeah, that's what this song did. This song made me sit the fuck up.
Yes.
I said complete energy change. The near-spoken vocal with the dreamy guitars, accents around that walking bass. I love that it's a washing reverb. It sort of makes me feel like you're lying in the sun on a summer's day trying to figure out life. Really cool guitar work on this. It's just so good. It's just a complete like pump the brakes. You know what you thought you knew about this record, you don't know. And like it's and there's a couple of songs on the record. We'll get to the other one in a couple time. I think No Tomorrow, where you've got that spoken vocal lead, and it just immediately brings you in like we're sat on the couch or we're sat in the sun outside and just what the fuck? How do we deal with this thing called life?
Yes, exactly. That's exactly the spirit. Yep. I mean, Ends on the Wheel. It's funny because if you listen to the demo, it has nothing to do with the song that is on the record, like nothing to do, actually. Um, it's a complete other song, but except the title remains the same, but it's a complete different song. The only thing that we kept really was the chord progression. Um, and I think it just came because this song we were not sure we were gonna put it on the record at first. I remember it was like, oh, we like it, but it's kind of like unfinished. And it was really the idea of Ryan, our sound engineer. It was like, no, I think there's something to it. We need to like completely change the whole thing and like do like a shoegaze kind of vibe. And I was like, what? No. He's like, no, trust me. And then we got to listen to some like slow dive and stuff like that. And I was like, okay, like My Bloody Valentine. I was like, okay, I feel the vibe. Let's try that. And so we did the whole instrumentation. And then I think that the day that I needed to record the vocals, I was like, okay, I don't have lyrics. So I was like, okay, guys, give me 20 minutes. Just get out of the studio. Give me 20 minutes. And I just remember sitting into the vocal booth and I was like, okay, I was listening to the song and it just like came out. And I remember he was like, I didn't have like a melody as well. He was just like, okay, let's, just improvise. Let's just like put the song from the start and just like do whatever. And it was that basically. I think it's kind of like I'm not even sure we redid it after. I think it might be the first track that I did.
The first track of the whole recording process?
No, the first vocal track that I tried on this song, I just improvised the melody.
Yeah, right. Okay, just double checking. Yeah, because it's bonkers then. Now to get that context as well, like 20 minutes before it and just nonchalantly just creating a really cool song. I mean, it speaks to the talent that you've all got. I'm glad that he pushed you to rework or reimagine that song because it doesn't feel out of place at all, but yet it does. It does. It is out of place, but not in a bad way. It's a real character building part of the record for me. And it also, because I thought then maybe after this, when we're looking into Nothing Compares, one of the early singles, that obviously then the energy does change a bit. But when we get to No Tomorrow and on and on rather, or just on and on and on and on and on, that does become a beautiful close that we'll get to. But I don't want to gloss over anything else with Hands on the Wheel. Is there anything else you want to add about that?
No, it was a very gut feeling kind of vibe for the sound engineer on that track. He was the one pushing us to do it mostly. And I'm really glad he did, like you said. So thank you, Ryan.
Thank you, Ryan. Ryan, thank you very much. Track 8, Nothing Compares.
Yes.
That snare is the first thing I wrote. I love its harshness and its attack. It's obviously a bit more loose on the old on the tie up there. Contrast with the gentle approach of the bass, and then that thicker, warmer guitar on top of that. So again, that speaks to that power trio. You don't want to necessarily just be a 1, 2, 3, but when you've got the nuance of this mix and how this song comes together, the first 35 seconds, it says, well, we're the 3-piece, but then look how we build it. It's really cool. In the last 30 seconds, I wrote, there's a subtle, near hidden, loads of stuff in the mix. I've written down, do I hear bongos, spray cans being shaken? Is that a tambourine? Is there some sort of cajon? Like, what is going on in that last 30 seconds? Because unless you turn it up real loud, if you're just like blissed out and enjoying the song on the surface level and you don't dive in and analyze the shit out of everything, you're like, oh God, it's got a bit messy over here. Like, it's just got louder. But when you really listen to it, there's just like you guys are running around doing the Beatles and smacking everything in the ladders in the room. What is that?
Wait, I need to put it back on.
Do you want me to play it to you?
Yeah, just the end.
All right, let me just check it's not really loud. Nothing Compares. Let's go back to about here.
Oh, yeah,
Oh, hang on a second. What was that? Sorry?
we also, I remember we have like a, how do you say, a shift, like we're going up one note higher.
Yeah.
That's funny. I forgot we did that. Okay, yeah, put it back.
Let me try and find it. Right, I can hear like a and then I can hear like a and then I just hear all these really fucking random shit. What is it? It's so cool though. It's like there's a street fight going on. There's a bunch of raccoons fighting over a hot dog, you know? Like, what is it?
It's definitely, I remember when, because we did like this chart, you know, with all the songs and all the instruments, and then you get to like cross when you've done something. Like, you know, like keyboard, guitar, like, and I remember we wrote in that song like percussion like party or percussion orgy. I don't remember what we wrote.
Yeah.
But yeah, I mean, Lisande Bordage, which is the drummer of the band, she also is an amazing percussionist. Like, this is actually what she studied in school. She studied percussions. And she went to like Brazil to like, you know, like learn from the masters. So she's really like, she has all those different little instruments that she brought to the studio that I just remember. I know that there's, how do you call it? Fuck. The one that you hear, like, it's called
yeah, for some reason I thought it was a glockenspiel, but it's not, is it?
No, what's it called? Fuck, I forgot the word. It's
no, it's not glockenspiel at all.
No, it's like this big thing with like just like what is it called? It's so stupid. I know it.
I'm looking it up. Rhythm sticks, woodblock.
No, there's woodblock. You hear it. But
okay. When I googled rhythm instruments, it's saying board games, cluster bells, cymbals, gyros. Like, Google is broken.
Guiro. I think that's what it is. A guiro. It's like this big with like.
It's like a fish. It's like a atomic bomb.
Exactly.
Right.
That's what it looks like. I think that's what it is. A guiro.
There we go.
And then there's different things. I mean, I think there's a triangle somewhere in there. There's like.
There's honestly about. I would love to find out the exact amount, because my guess was 10 to 13 different things. It's a lot.
Let me check.
You've not got that written down. No.
No, I have the stems of this
wow.
album.
Okay.
Let me check real quick. I think we can get the answer. But yeah, guiro, that's the word I was looking for. Stems. Do we have them though? I don't know where I put them. Okay.
We'll just
Nothing Compares. Okay, I got them.
All right, we'll be right back.
works. Did he put them all together?
Maybe he mixed them down into one.
Okay. Okay, yeah, we hear that. Do you hear that?
Yeah, I hear that. Sweet. Yeah, there's a lot going on.
So there's a cowbell. That's so fucking weird. Oh yeah, there's this thing as well.
Yeah, like the umbrella flipping metal.
Yeah. That thing, you know exactly what I'm talking about.
I wish I remembered what I learned at music at 5 years old. Yeah.
But it's interesting hearing it like that. Wow. Okay.
Yeah, because then for me, like there could be like a samba version. There could be like if you go to Brazil, do a complete reworking of that song, right? You're playing to 100,000 people on the beach in Sao Paulo. You know, it'll be great.
Yeah,
it would
totally.
be. It's
Let's do it.
It is really, really cool. I love the fact that then it goes into track 9, which is Sayonara. You know.
Yeah.
So I wrote down for this hooks for days. Thanks for looking it up, by the way. That was sweet.
No worries.
I wrote hooks for days. The songs. This is just another song that proves the ability that you've got in that they stay with you, and that these hooks and these melodies really stay with you. I did write down here, I'm intrigued by your musical influences for the record. We've sort of addressed that a little bit so far. It's not something that I don't tend to usually get involved in this, but I did write down that with this song, I was getting Springsteen vibes meets like the Strokes. I don't want that to be insulting, but I think the storytelling is the Springsteen vibe to me. The straightforward, we're going front to back, strap in, sit down, let's go on this journey. And then the Strokes vibes are where you've got that playfulness in the guitars and the jangliness. Like it's just like, let's build this jangly world around this topic that needs to be addressed, but the flavor around it, it's just got that. It's like, it reminds me of, where is it? I think it was American Boy. Did I write that?
You're right, because this, I remember I was really into the song Tap Out by the Strokes in that time period. You know that song?
Yeah.
So that very like the guitar riff at the beginning that is so like, it's almost like cut with a knife. It's so precise and so melodic. So yeah, definitely the guitar harmonizing and all, it definitely strikes a bit on the Strokes. I love them. I mean, I've always loved them for sure. Ever since I heard Reptilia, I was like, whoa,
yeah,
what is this? But yeah, definitely a vibe. It's definitely like a punk rock vibe, that one. It's more like it's something, it's one of those songs that brings you back to the first record more, I think, in terms of the vibe, the energy.
Yeah, I agree. And certainly when I was listening to the record at this point, I was like, oh, are we going to go for a big finish? Are we going to ramp up, you know, get 50 BPM faster, or are we going to bring it back? And actually, you bring a great point with sort of harkening back to the first record. This album, it's not that it's a different Les Shirley, but it does seem more meticulous. I don't know if that's the right word to use. Maybe that goes back to the way that you've organized and you've composed these songs in the first place. But there does seem to be a much clearer focus on this. That's not meant to be rude or negative.
No, it is true. And I think that it's also a bit more mature in terms of like the musicality itself and the whole process and what we went through writing it as well. I think we all evolved during this pandemic, and we all like got to do a lot of introspection, and also bringing Marie-Pierre into the studio with us. She is, I mean, an amazing artist out here in Quebec. She's very talented. We were huge fans of her work before meeting her in person, and now we really clicked like humanly and musically with her. And so I think that everything thrown into the mix definitely brought a more mature sounding album. And I think it's, you know, that's the natural process of things. You like the first album is more like of a kind of a like a postal card, like, hey, this is who we are in a nutshell, boom. And then the second one, we were not trying to reproduce exactly what we did in the first one. I think it's important to go elsewhere. People usually expect something from a band after they heard the first record, but then it's nice to just like, you can still hear that it's Les Shirley and the vocals and the melodies and the instrumentation, but it's a bit deeper on on the second album, and I think I like it. I love bands like the 1975 who never bothered to do two records in a row that sounded the same, and it's amazing to me because you're like, it really shows your whole musical abilities spectrum.
Yeah, and I think too many bands have been worried about expanding outside of their own box as then the perception of those that listen to their music, and it's not the artist and the perception of themselves and how they want to grow. That's why I love when I listen to sometimes if you're listening to a band that's like record 3, 4, 5 in, and someone goes, "Oh my God, this is just blah, blah, blah." I look at it from imagine the live show. Imagine having the energy of how you can then build a live set with all these different energies, because not every show is going to be bam, 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 bam. Even if you're even if you're a metalhead at a metal show, there's going to have to be moments. Otherwise, you can't reset between. It's just a wall of the same thing. I mean, if you want to produce that, people do. But for me, it's trying to have that ebb and flow and creating the energy that goes
definitely
through that.
not. This is when I first started my musical career, like back in 2015 with my other project. It's one thing that my manager told me, and it always stuck with me. It's like, always make music for you and not for what the public would want to hear. And it really stuck with me all those years. And I was like, that's one of the best advice I ever gotten from somebody in this industry. So yeah.
Well, yeah, and that's why the bands that you've been in are fucking incredible, because it's just authentic. It's just authentic, and it's not trying to be anything that you aren't. That's why I've really liked it.
Thank you.
And I was going to say, actually, yeah, I mean, when you started this band, what was the thought behind it? What was the vision? Where did you think you could go? Because to turn around these 2 records in just 18 months would suggest that, okay, we're going to go for this now. Did it start with that mindset of like, we want Les Shirley to go fucking global? What was the first thought?
No, because at first, well, I mean, it's because my other project, I was playing in my previous band with Lisan, the drummer.
Yeah.
And when this project came to an end at the end of 2018, we were like, oh, we still wanted to play together. We still wanted to do music together. But then we were like, okay, we kind of want to like experiment in a different genre. And Sarah, I mean, it was a friend of us. We knew each other, but Sarah is a drummer as well. So I was like, I kind of want to have a band with you two, but then somebody has to like pick up a different instrument. Right. So Sarah was like, I'm going to pick up the bass. No worries. I was like, all right. And then, I mean, she's slaying the bass, and she's been playing for like 3 years. So that's crazy.
I did not know that. That's fucking
sweet. I mean, she's just a musical genius, that person. The only thing, I mean, she's good at any instrument she's trying. She's good at guitar. She's a good guitar player. She's a good bass player. She's an amazing drummer. But then she doesn't sing that well. So that's what I got going for me. Cool. But yeah, I mean, I think it was kind of a joke at first. We just wanted to have fun and play and see where it went. And I remember we did the first rehearsal. We brought a Fireball bottle into the studio with us. And we just came up with a song right away, right there and then. I was like, oh, okay, so there's the chemistry is real. We kind of have the same musical brain. We understand where each other is going. So it really just started with that. We were just like having fun writing some songs. And I remember one day, one of our friends came into the studio with us, and she was like, oh, just play me, the songs that you have. We played them for her, and she was like, okay, well, this is not a joke. Like, you guys need to play some shows. And then when we started playing shows, I think the feedback from the crowd that we were getting, I was like, oh, no, there's something here. Like, we need to like do it for real. So that's how it really started. And then when we first released the first EP, we immediately got the feedback from the crowd and from the musical critiques as well was really good. We won like 2 prizes. We won the Breakthrough Artist of the Year and Best Rock EP for that album. So I was like, okay, no, I think let's do it. Let's try that. So yeah, it started as a joke, but then it's not a joke anymore.
Yeah, this shit is not a joke. Well, with that in mind, then, where do you think Les Shirley can go? What do you have a bucket list? Are there things that you want to drive towards, or just keep going with the flow?
Oh, I have a lot of things that I want. I mean, I want to tour the fucking world, that's for sure. I mean, we're doing it. We went to the first European tour in April. We're trying to go back once or twice. We're going back actually in December in Paris for some how do you say vitrine in English? It's like more like a showcase. for the industry. So and I'm meeting with another booking agent there. So we're you know, we're trying to get there. I think the European market is the next step for us, because it's either you break into the European market or the United States market.
Yeah.
It's either or, and the States is really fucking hard. So let's try to go for Europe first. That's my plan.
Yeah, we got to. This is why I love to just share bands. Like, one of the things with What Was That is that whenever I speak to anyone, I always try and mention 2 or 3 bands, but particularly in different parts of the world, because it's like you can't do what the Tragically Hip have done all those years ago. You can't just play 1,000 shows across a nation. There's the internet now. You can't necessarily build that, oh my God, you've got to see this band. There's the internet now. There's immediate yay, nay, yes, what I fucking don't want to watch, whatever. It's just immediate judgment is right at our fingertips.
Yep.
And so there's a band I think out of Holland that I think you would love that are called Bong Lord. And this is a 3-piece. These 3 guys, Bong Lord, are a punk band that are absolutely incredible. And I'm Staying in Bed Today is the latest single. The second record is one of my favorites of the year. I interviewed, well, I had the chance to speak with Jack of Psychedelic Porn Crumpets out of Australia, and I told him about Bong Lord. And then when the Porn Crumpets went to Holland, they had Bong Lord support them. And then
awesome.
Spiral Drive are this really cool band led by Raphael, a psychedelic rock band from Germany, and vice versa. He's currently in Australia he was hanging with the Porn Crumpets before they came to North America to do their tour. And so I think, you know, my point being is that if you're going to go to Europe, it's going to lose you money anyway. But if you can team up with the right band that you know you've got the right people coming to shows, it's going to help connect the dots. It's like the Tasers out of South Africa are a really cool psychedelic band that in South Africa, they told me when I spoke to them a couple of years ago when I first launched this station, there's only 3 rock venues in the country. That's what they're up against. Like 3, we purely only do rock, and it's mainly underground because dance and electronic is what rules, and hip hop is what rules the roost. So I mean, there's Blackbird Hill out of France that I think you'd be great with. There's so many. Like I could send you a list of or just go to whatwasthatradio.com and dive in. But
yeah, totally. You should try to send me that list, and I can like forward it to my booking agent in Berlin. That would be amazing.
Yeah, and just see if you like those bands, and if not, they've got new fans, and then maybe you can team up as well. But
yeah.
All right, okay. So into the last couple of tracks here, I'm pretty sure. Yeah, okay. Track 10, No Tomorrow. So I wrote down a few things. I think I got a bit confused, but I'm pretty sure that initially I wrote down, is that a cajon instead of a full drum kit? Is it electronic? No, it seems like it's just programmed.
It's an electronic drum, on top of the real deal. And because this is how we wrote this song. It was actually, if you want the full-on story, it's funny because there was a curfew in Quebec for a long time, like 8 months during the pandemic.
Yeah.
Curfew at 7:30 p.m. you needed to be home, and so we were at the studio and we were jamming and having a lot of fun, and we had a bunch of different stuff going on, some blow and some we were cranking it up. Right. At 7:10 I realized it's 7:10. I'm like, oh shit, like the curfew is in 15 minutes. We need to get the fuck out of here and go back home. But we were I remember we finished that bag of blow in 5 minutes, like, okay, let's do this. And then we were so cranked up. I was like, oh my God, I cannot just go home. So come with me. Like, we need to go home all together. So they came back home with me, and my roommate had this like kind of makeshift studio installed in the basement of the house. And we just went into the basement, and I was like, okay, Louis, we need the studio right now. We need to write a song. And he was like, okay. And he just sat back, and he was there watching the whole process. He was like amazed because it took us like maybe 2 hours and we had the whole song. But it's funny because we wrote it in 2 hours, but the mix, because when you're high or you're drunk, how you don't hear the highs anymore somehow, the high frequencies. And the mix is so harsh, like the demo. Oh my God, you cannot listen to it. It's so harsh and so like we didn't have any ears left at that time, but Yeah, it's definitely a party song. And so we had like a drum machine going. And so in the studio, at first we wanted to like basically keep everything from the demo because we were not able to reproduce it. We tried to like do another demo that was a bit less harsh,
You had to buy
but the
another
vibe was
bag.
not quite. Yeah, no. We just dropped the blow on the studio thing, but we just went and tried to reproduce the same feeling, and we kept some stuff from the demo version, like the electronic drum.
I'm going to guess that you also kept the whistle and the chuckle at the end of the song.
No, we redid the
Oh,
whistle.
redid the whistle? It wasn't a good enough whistle when you were high? It was just...
No, I mean, Lisanne and Marie-Pierre did the whistling part because she's amazing with it. But we also kept this little guitar. We kept that thing, and we kept like the synthesizer at the end as well. I think we kept a bunch of different stuff from that demo version for sure.
It's another one where you've got that spoken intimate vocal that stands out immediately at the start of the song. And then, yeah, I wrote down the whistle at the end with the chuckle is a really nice touch. I think that whistle and that chuckle sort of speaks to the energy of the initial demo creation.
Exactly.
Rather than
the chuckle.
being from it.
I remember. No, that's just Marie-Pierre. It's actually here at the end. She
is
just
it?
laughed. Yeah, and she just laughed and we just kept it because it was just so funny.
No, I love when little things like that are left in because it immediately it creates more theatre to it. Because if you're someone that has no idea who she is or who they are or who this is and what that is, it adds that intrigue to it. For me, I'm like, okay.
And it's also a bit more, it adds a bit of realness to the
exactly,
thing as well.
Exactly.
Mm-hmm.
Track 11, we've reached the end.
Whoa.
On and On. I've written down, it's a beautiful closer. The bass is sounding like it's in the other room initially. It's like, you're at that mansion in the cabin and they're out playing the bass in the jacuzzi and you've got the kitchen windows shut and you're like, God, that sounds great outside. Let's go and take a dip. The warm guitar is so effective, and then the way that it opens up to close out is just mighty. I can picture the thank you, good nights over the solo before you don't have to break apart, like before that last, you don't have to break apart.
Yeah.
It's just such a great, it's just a stunning end to the record.
Thank
Simple
you.
as that.
It was, I remember that we were in the cabin, just me and Sarah, actually, we just went, the two of us. Lisanne was not there. And so I remember that she was trying to put on a fire. She was trying to start a fire. And I was just messing around with the guitar. And at some point it had been like 45 minutes that she was like doing this fire thing. And I was just like, I didn't have anything good coming out. And I remember just playing those chords. And she was like, immediately like, whoa, what was that? And I was like, oh, I don't know. Play that again. And then we did it. And I don't know. I mean, this song is funny because we were inspired by, King Princess.
Oh, so good.
So there's a song by King Princess. I don't remember the title right now, but it has this duality of like the song starts super slow and then it breaks down into this heavy, but still slow pace, like heavy, like rock ending. And I was like, that's amazing. We need to do something like this. And so the idea came from there. But this song, it's funny because this song, the lyrics is about, Dawson's Creek.
Yes. Okay.
So Dawson's Creek, I remember it was kind of the first kind of TV, like coming of age TV teenage show that I got to watch, but I was still I was a bit too young, but my babysitter was watching it. And I remember watching it with her and I was like, wow, there was this character that was gay, and Jack. And I was like, to me, it was the first time that I saw somebody that was homosexual. And I remember asking her, I was like maybe 8 years old, and I was like, why is he gay? And she just straight up, she said, well, why are you straight? And I was like, I don't know. I remember that she told me this. And then this song is about me calling Jack and being like, it's okay. You can do this coming out. You can do this. I'm here for you. I went through this. It's like me calling this guy. Basically, I'm talking to him.
We need to get them the song somehow.
Yeah.
That'd be pretty sweet.
What's his name? Yeah, it'd be funny. Totally. Definitely. We did that though. The first EP, the song Caitlin Montana.
Yeah.
it's a TV show that aired when I was in high school. And it was called Caitlin Montana, but I think in English it was called Caitlin's Way. Caitlin's
Oh,
Way or something. But I found that actress on Instagram, Lindsay Felton, and I sent her the song. And I was like, this song was inspired by you. And it's like, I'm talking to your aunt, and it's like you and your aunt are talking together. And she was like, oh my God. She answered me, and I was like, yes, this is the highlight of my life.
that's so cool. Well, I'm gonna revisit that song after this. You've got to try and find a way to send that song through. I'm pretty sure that you're referring to Ohio by King Princess. I'm pretty
I
sure
think so,
that's the
yeah.
song.
Yeah, I think so. It's the video clip, it's in black and white, and she's playing on stage. And then at the end, when it's shift, it's not in black and white anymore. It's in color, and it's on stage. So I think yeah, you're right.
And because I remember, because when it first came out, I feel like 2 years ago, it was said like, oh, I've been playing this live for a long time. Fans have wanted it, but I've not put it out yet. Here it is. And I got to give credit to one of my friends, Ali, for introducing me to. It was actually
King
when the band that I used to be in, we were driving back from a recording session, and Ali put on, "Oh, have you heard King Princess in 1950?" And I was just blown away. It's just
Yeah, 1950. Oh yeah, it's Ohio. I see it now.
Yeah.
I googled it. It is.
Incredible
song I'm talking
artist.
about.
Yeah, they are insanely talented. So good.
Oh yeah, totally. I love them. Woo.
What that's Rapha, that we've gone through it all.
Yeah, amazing.
20 minutes turned into an hour and 6.
Yeah, well, that's what happens when it's a good conversation.
Thank you. I'm glad that you said that, because that's what I aim for, is just to create the comfort to just get involved, chat about this great creation and music that artists get involved
Yeah, because
in.
then it's like people don't realize how much work it is to actually write an album and put it out and record it, and then once it's out, it's like, okay, well, what's next? But it's amazing to talk about it more, like in deeper, because like it also, as an artist, you get to reflect on it as well, because sometimes you don't have the biggest picture until it's actually done. So it's nice to chat about it and just to see other people's perception of it as well. It's like when you hear it for the first time with a fresh set of ears, like, what is your impression? That's really nice.
Yeah, and are there many more of these? Have you had many conversations so far? Are there going to be more coming forward? And if you just, because Luther's Radar, Natasha and Sarah have been so awesome to me since I left the mainstream. A lot of people didn't necessarily want to work with me anymore because they weren't really sure what I was building, and if it was against radio. And I've got nothing against radio. I'm just trying to help elevate musicians. They've been so key to me, just being able to access so many incredible musicians. But where else are you? So are you trying to maybe connect with some European blogs and stuff as well this week and next week? Or how far are you expanding this push?
Yeah, well, there's a lot of interviews coming along. There was a lot last week, and then this week there's a few, but next week is a pretty big week for sure. And yeah, I mean, we've been trying to connect with different medias, and we have this media in Germany. It's called Oxfansen, Oxfansen, something like this. And it's a pretty big punk rock blog over there, based in Berlin. So we have an interview with them coming along as well. But yeah, I mean, we hired some PR people for the rest of Canada and Quebec mostly. But I mean, the European market is in development. So we'll try to get more and more interview for that for sure.
Sweet. All right. What are you going to do between your next chat? Have another nap?
No, I need to eat, and then I'm gonna probably try and like squeeze in some more rehearsal. I have like a show to learn basically from scratch. I'm being we are all hired guns for other bands as well. So
Yeah.
I'm playing guitar for this girl. Her name is Emma Beko, and she's doing like this hip hop rap, very emo, like with guitar loops that are really like, I don't know, like, XXX Tentacion, something like that. It's kind of the same vibe. So yeah, I mean, I'm trying to learn that today and then tomorrow. So I'm going to squeeze in a bit of learning 2-3 songs in between, maybe.
That's what always blows my mind is, just how music, because I'm not a musician that can do that. I can't learn 1,000 songs. I want to
really
know, like, and then my friends that are in all these cover bands and just like, oh, play this one, and they whip out one of 500 songs they've learned. That blows my mind.
I don't know. Honestly, I have a really good memory, and that really helps me. It always helped me in life, in school, and in everything that I did. My memory is definitely something that I use a lot. And for that as well, because I'm the type of musician, I don't like to read the music
Yeah.
when I play it on stage. Like I need to like learn it by heart. That's what I do. So yeah, this is my method of learning new things. It's just I just like play it over and over until it's like it's in there.
Yeah, get it ingrained. All
Yep.
right. Okay. Well, I'll let you actually go and get on with the rest of the day. But thank you so flipping much
Thank
for your time. I
you.
really appreciate it. And please pass on the congrats to the other two, because this is a real statement record, and I really do hope that it does take off where you want it to, because there's so much more. It's just so good. It's just so good. And I'm so glad that you left Hands on the Wheel, that it made the cut, because that is a really powerful song on the record, especially for me.
Thank you so much. Thank you for taking the time as well, and see you soon.
All right. Have a great rest of your day.
Thanks, man. Bye.
Boy. How wonderful was that? That was a goofier, huh? From a place of pure happiness. It was a great conversation with Rapha of Les Shirley. And thank you so much for your flipping time. Hey, if I end up getting those vinyl signed and you're still watching this, if you email whatwasthatradio@gmail.com, again, whatwasthatradio@gmail.com, and say, I love Les Shirley, well, maybe you'll win one. Boom. Whatever you're doing the rest of your day, and as always, please look after yourself. And I hope there's some fun and smiles involved in the rest of it too, because we've got to cherish that positive. Thanks for your time. And until next time, maybe you'll decide. Cheerio.